Oh my, what a week.
Sorry guys, I tried to really focus on positive this week. I really couldn't find any good productive posts on Spectrum that weren't just the regular white knight fanatical posting great things about CIG to try to offset this wave of salt, right? Because there was some other posts commenting on how flushed and full the first 3 pages were of just pure salt. So obviously, Knights to the rescue will post something positive. Anyways, here we go. Hello YouTubers, this is noobifier. I started a new playlist called Community Concerns because I have more time to research. If you missed past week's installments, the playlist could be started much like a podcast when you're stuck in traffic or doing laundry. Consider bookmarking it and checking in every once in a while to see what the community is talking about. And if you find it fun, please do me a favor and share it with a friend or org mate. Today is the 8th of February 2022. Today is the first day ever that I'm going to be going live streaming Formula 1. More about that at the end. I do try to do these on Tuesdays, and I try to choose threads that are well presented and have a good banter back and forth. It's up to you to comment in the comments here to let me know how I can tweak the new segment. Let's begin. Today, one topic dominates the spectrum and has for the entire week and will for the next week. CIG Jake's post about the community noise being a distraction and requiring the developers to pull any future transparency back down to only 30 days projection so that they can focus on whatever they're doing because they're confused and distracted and refuse to tell any more about anything is junk. There's no way that not one person in that entire office has actually no ability to predict with a certain level of reliability about what is currently being worked on with a target window for release. It's ridiculous, and Lord Adama posted, "See you later, CIG." They said that they backed over just 1 year ago with a Mustang Alpha that was upgraded to a Gladius. They had plans to buy a larger fleet because having one ship is very limiting. But before that though, they decided to do a lot more research and they didn't like the trend that they saw. The Cole's notes are as follows. Confusion over the amount of money when combined with the buggy state of the game experience, 10 years, how the community's in the dark, and other factors. When they read back into history, that was when confusion really set in because they saw a time when weekly things seemed to be getting done and there was a constant flow of updated information. They joined around the roadmap last year. At that time, they said that there was some informative shows being published with higher level development leads who spoke about the vision. They said that that seemed to stop, and then Chris and Sandy were seen once on a checking in video, a campy video, where the 2 daughters said that Daddy's game was boring and that they wanted to go play something else. The reason I chose to start with this post this week was a single quote that summed up all of what I'm personally dealing with when trying to process what's going on and making content for this game project. 10 years in development, and when I do my own little chart with all of the progress and the basics versus all of what we need to add, it doesn't add up. Anyways, they said, when you want to go to space, you point the rocket 90 degrees perpendicular to the ground and launch it that way, instead of launching it 5 degrees over the horizon. They say that they witnessed many developmental issues, erratic focus, mixed messaging, and of course, promised deadline missed, excuses, new deadline missed, excuses, the entire it's ready when it's ready lack of accountability, and now veiled secrecy and silence. CIG expects us to continue to fund blinder than before with less interaction from the team leads. What? No news on when Squadron or PU may be released, no idea what the current state is, just frustration, secrecy, and constant crowdfunding. Endless cycle. They ended positive by acknowledging that this also must be very bad on the staff's mental health to watch the community melt down over decisions that the upper management side makes. They wish the community luck and are gonna go do something else. The replies were mostly positive, people wishing the OP good luck in the future. There was the usual white knighty post telling everyone that the situation is our own fault for demanding so much and that the community is actually the problem, forcing CIG to take this stance. The usual post that includes the standard excuse that the game didn't actually start until 2016 or whatever when the switch to 64-bit was done, so it isn't 10 years but actually 6, and what video game has ever been made in 6? Which is again, whatever. Hawk-S said that there were 2 friends at work who have been asking about any upcoming free flight events to check out the current state of the game. Despite there being one on the 17th, they've chosen to not tell them due to many factors including the noise sentiment from the company and the state of Star Citizen in general. They said that blaming the community when the development fails to hit its own schedule is the confusion when we're literally funding the paychecks. Anyways, they continued that this is a disappointing time with some uncertainty and frustration. They simply don't want to expose their friends to that until things get better. I'm going to park this one for now, but I'm going to ask, do you feel that Chris built a big honkin' rocket and aimed it to the horizon instead of space? Do you think that the rocket was at first pointing up and then has started to fly flat, going very, very fast, but making low progress? Or do you think the rocket is still pointing straight into space at full speed on its way to completion? Comments in the comments with whatever you're thinking. I really am interested to know. Next, RSW commented that CIG is killing its own space game because how are we supposed to hold them accountable with no tangible known goals? They made a very funny GIF where CIG is the Mandalorian shooting a bunch of stormtroopers who represent all the features that have been pulled from the roadmap. Funny, but still quite serious. Burke86 then posted another short video to reply with Chris in a tiny buggy bulldozing piles of money, the comm links, the 10 for the chairs, the Squadron 42s, and the PUs into the garbage while members of the movie Wing Commander watched. Many posted that they thought it was very funny and creative. Some posted that having a tantrum on the internet isn't going to help us in holding the company accountable. And then they said that this post is exactly the type of noise that Jake was talking about. And then they said something about acting like a child. They called a bunch of people delusional, something about arbitrary deadlines, complaining about in general, and then other stuff. And then Crash posted what I'm thinking, CIG can read what people are saying and think that that might be a problem. But when they go look at the money coming in from selling ships, they can just think it's noise and ignore it, right? The week that the community hit the fan on a new low was also the same week that the company made $2.5 million selling ships for Xenothreat. So mixed signals, and no wonder why they feel that it's fine to pull transparency back. Who am I to judge them? They're the experts. Do you think that there's a little bit of game development suicide being done over at CIG management? Or do you feel that all of this is being blown out of proportions and that things are still exactly on track as you expected? Go comment in the comments. Next, Hypertion, I think I got that right, said that the current state of everything has actually been killing their clan for about a year. They remember weeks where every night there was always a group of players in Discord and that it was very easy to team up, play, and enjoy Star Citizen. They said that they'd planned to play this week because of the event and they were only able to convince 4 to log in and play. Then they spent their time farting around trying to link up, dealing with crashes, moving gear around, bugs, and other stuff. Not fun and no payout for their time. They ended by saying that they used to play Star Citizen because they could do what they wanted to do, and lately instead they've been asking what is currently working properly so that they can just go focus on that. Noisy said to the OP that if it wasn't for the community members posting stuff like this and complaining so much all the time, distracting the developers, that we would likely have server meshing by now. And I couldn't tell if that was sarcasm or not. Probably wasn't, which is alarming. Espionage made me laugh out loud by acknowledging that noise must be correct because it's obvious that the community is the reason that things have slowed down over at CIG. That when the development team invests their collective effort only in sifting out complaint turds from the Spectrum litter box, that they have no time to actually work on making the game, which makes sense. Obviously, if we stopped bitching constantly in Spectrum, that they would have more free time to build the game and thus the game would progress. Hilarious. There was some pretty good debate back and forth with personal blame, hate, shaming, name-calling, personal attacks, and I left the post wondering perhaps at what maturity level I was witnessing. Was this the work of adults posting, or was this tiny babies that had logged under their parent accounts and just started mashing the keyboard? The point I wanted to make in closing is, yes, it's frustrating, but there must be something better to do than flinging digital poop at each other on Spectrum, right? We're all part of the same community, and we all want the same thing, and we're all frustrated. So let's be better, people. Next, Humbug proposed that we park Squadron 42 on a shelf in favor of making progress on the PU. This is something I don't actually agree with. But anyways, they said that they never really cared about single-player games and pointed out that practically all of the $500 million of funding to date was from selling ship assets that are not useful unless you're in the PU. So by that logic, they wanted to know why Chris was using all the funding to focus so much on something that had nothing to do with it. Basically, like as if I paid for my rent and then you were to buy beer with it instead of paying the landlord. They ended by saying that they're worried that Squadron's delay will kill both games before either have a chance to mature. The comments within the thread said that they were mostly fine with the focus being on Squadron only as long as something shifted hard towards finishing the PU once Squadron launches. Do you agree that after 10 years with no release in sight that Squadron should be shelved to focus on the PU? Are you worried about the game losing steam before launch? I have to end because I feel I'm at my psychological threshold of salt for this week, but there are 2 very good ones that I'm going to end with. Commander Sirius said simply, thank you to the developers who are working as usual building the game despite the decisions from the upper management. So yes, it's important also for me to acknowledge that we only see the top of the iceberg, but there's a bunch of work being done by many people. So thank you to the collective team for that. And Ergo posted asking Jake if we were allowed to post now, like was it okay to use Spectrum, or would that further distract the entire development team asking for a friend? 183 upvotes, not a single per card at the time of making the video, and that pretty much sums up the entire week. That's it for me, but I want to tell you about the milestone that I mentioned at the beginning. I will be live streaming for the first time. All kinds of stuff has been going on. Noobifier Competition channel, it's race night for virtual esport, and we're racing F1 in Brazil. The plan is to start at 6 p.m. Eastern, which is New York time zone, Florida. Hot laps for practice, then team practice starts at 8 p.m. Qualification, race, and I hope to see you there. Live alerts are always posted in our Discord, and that's linked in the description. You can see them posted on Twitter, or you can activate notifications in YouTube. I hope to see you there, and I hope it's interesting. Come check it out. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.